Some people in history have shown all it takes is one bad day. Sure, we have examples here and there. But what happens when a town chronically bullies a man with a shotgun and mows in Nagant? Well, you get Peter Grashof. Not much is known about Grashev, other than he lived in Ivankovo, Kostroma Governorate in the Soviet Union. Grashev was a simple man, working as a farmer with a few people in his employ and a small family to pay for. Now, life in the Soviet Union by 1925 was far from joyous, thanks in part to state-enforced famine, typhus epidemics, the Soviets merely existing in state collectivization programs. Under Soviet administration, farmers were to uproot and move into communal farming neighborhoods. If not, they were dealt with the only way the Soviets knew how to solve problems: unbelievable violence. So to no surprise, Grashev's existence was a bleak one, and it was made only worse when their settlement supposedly shortchanged him on farmland for him to work on. This made Grashev feel two things: one, that he was outcast by his neighbors, and two, that if he could not provide for the state's quotas, he wouldn't have to worry about taking care of his family for long. Both of these factors contribute into him starting to go insane. Townspeople, instead of trying to help him, instead moved towards open mockery of Grashev, and this led to him muttering like a broken record, "Just wait and see, I'll get even with everybody." Unfortunately for the townspeople, they did not take his threats seriously, and local authorities deemed it the rants of a delusional man. Luckily for Grashev, that meant nobody was expecting him to go batshit insane. On the 26th of July, Grashev sold all his property and sent for his family to go on vacation. With the money, he bought a handful of shotguns and bolt-action rifles and a fuckload of matchboxes. The stage was set. When everyone left to go work on the fields that day, Grashev stayed behind and began setting fire to barn houses and homes of those who had wronged him. He then ran into a bush near the main road, procured his arsenal, and awaited for the townspeople to return home to see what was causing the smoke. As the first townsfolk arrived, Grashev opened fire with his rifle, killing several on the main street. He then slung the rest of his weapons, armed his shotgun, and proceeded to hunt down people trying to flee the area, shooting horses and townspeople alike. A group of firefighters came from the neighboring village to put out the flame with the assistance of local authorities, but they were pinned down and took 3 wounded from Grashev's assault. Eventually, the authorities had to withdraw, giving Grashev time to pack up and flee the area. In the end of the carnage, Grashev had killed 17 of the 50 townsfolk and 8 to 12 horses. He also managed to burn down 13 of the 14 houses, both communal centers of the town, and more than 60 barns. When it came to the wounded, of the 3 wounded firefighters, one was the chief of the unit, a detail which will later come back to haunt Grashev. Grashev would not be caught until later in the year by authorities and state-sanctioned bandits trying to capture him. To nobody's surprise, Grashev was put on trial by a Soviet court, and his charges included arson, murder, and attempted murder of a state official, the fire chief. The Soviet court deemed Grashev mentally stable, somehow, and proceeded to sentence him to 10 years of solitary confinement. It later came out that Grashev's family never did go on vacation, but rather he had murdered them and his workers before stuffing them in the cellar of their home, which burnt down. The Soviets never returned to address the matter, once again proving that communism can't do anything right. Grashev spent his 10-year sentence, which had no parole due to him not having a fucking gun license, and due to lack of information most likely was released when his sentence was over, because the Soviets were more than willing to have murderers in their society rather than artists and poets.
How about another joke, Murray?
I think we've had enough of your jokes.
What do you get
I don't think so.
when you cross
I think
a
we're
mentally
done
ill
with your
loner
jokes.
with
That's
a
it.
society that abandons him and treats him like trash?
Call the police,
I'll
Gene.
tell you what you
Call
get.
the police.
You get what you fucking deserve.